Well, I didn't want to come here empty-handed. Mm-hmm. So I have for you and your audience an exclusive.
Okay, yes. Love it.
Nobody knows, but
ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Side Project Podcast. Yes! Let's take a sip from our underrated consoles mug. Tastes so good. Because as you know, anytime that you drink anything out of a Side Project mug, whether it be the underrated consoles mug, the Run It Up mug, the Project Park mug, or the brand new bread and butter mug available on the Side Project merch store via sideprojectpodcast.com, everything that you put in one of these mugs, it just tastes better. Whether it's water, whether it's coffee, maybe you get up in the morning and instead of like a clear glass of orange juice, you got to put your orange juice in a Side Project Podcast mug because it just tastes that much better. You know what I mean? Like the bread and butter mug would be a perfect mug for the morning because it's like bread, butter, you're putting butter on your toast, you're putting orange juice in your Side Project mug, and it tastes absolutely amazing. And with that, right, say you're in there, you're in the kitchen, maybe you're a bachelor, you live by yourself, you're putting all the bread and the butter on your toast and everything, but you're shirtless at the time because you just got out of the shower, right? And this isn't some weird fantasy. This isn't a weird fantasy. Don't make it a weird fantasy. You're shirtless at the time, right? So you're putting the toast and you put the toast, you're getting ready to put the butter on the toast, and you put the toast in the toaster, and you're like, I gotta go put a shirt on. So you run back upstairs, maybe you live in a 2-story, you run back upstairs real quick and you put on your bread and butter tee. That's right. But maybe it's a little bit cold, right? So you're like, it's wintertime. So what do? You put on your bread and butter hoodie. We got it all. Tees, hoodies, mugs, everything available on the Side Project merch store via Side Project Podcast. And that's Project with a K. Go get some. All available right now. But anyway, speaking of bread and butter, let's get into the bread and butter of this week's episode because my guest this week is a cosplayer who is known for taking up the mantle of the Dark Knight in a very cinematic manner, working with photographers to bring out the essence of the Bat of the Night, such as the award-winning Random Vision HD, Harambe Studios, Grifter, or the jaw-dropping unique take on Batman with the long hair, one of my favorites, shot by Dan Cortez, and that's just to name a few. A man of privacy, a man who does not do interviews, but he's here today, a previous Cosplay of the Week, and it's a very long time coming. Ladies and gentlemen, let's put our hands together and give a warm welcome to Batman in Houston. How you doing, man?
I'm great. Thanks for having me.
Yes, dude, finally. Long time coming, right?
Long time coming. I have a request. Can you just follow me everywhere I go? And say that before I walk into any room for the rest of my life. That's
right?
all
Just ladies and gentlemen, everywhere you go.
Yeah, and then I just walk in.
Batman in Houston.
Perfect. Absolutely.
I'm so stoked that you're here, dude. Like, it really has been a long time coming, man. Like, you and I have talked over the course of all of these years for so long when I made you the Cosplay of the Week. And behind the scenes, we've talked about you coming on the show and scheduling just didn't work out and this and that. And then you're finally here and you don't do interviews. You've never done another podcast. And we were talking about this off air as well. And I'm thankful that you're here, man. Thank you for choosing, here to be here and to do this. I'm thankful, man.
Thank you for having me. And just, I've been asked before to do podcasts and to do interviews and stuff. And I was always just try to be gracious and say no, thank you. But the reality is, in the back of my mind, I always told myself if I was ever going to do a podcast, there was only one podcast that I was going to do. And it's the Project Podcast. And
thank you, man. Thank you.
True to my word, here I am.
Yeah, thank you, man. I want to get into it, dude, because I think there's a lot of people, because you don't do podcasts and you don't talk, you don't do interviews, like you don't really even do like lives on Instagram or anything like that. Even though I don't think lives are as popular as they used to be on Instagram.
There's a strong chance that this is the first time that so many people are even hearing my voice. Like,
yes,
there's people
exactly.
that are like, oh, that's what you sound like. Yes, this is good.
So, I mean, let's get into it, dude. I'm curious because of that, there's a lot of people that are probably also curious as well, because you tend to be a little bit more of a private person, and there's nothing wrong with that. Even as far as not truly showing your face or anything, which again, there's nothing wrong with that as well. And there's others out there that navigate the scene in a similar manner. But because there's likely a lot of things that people don't know about you. So I'd love to start off by asking, like, how did you get into cosplay to begin with? Because everyone has a journey of the how and the when and the why it began for them. What's your story?
I've told this story before to people who are different photographers that I've worked with, but I've never told it publicly. So back in it was probably 2017. It was early one morning. I was getting ready to go work out. So I was on my couch. I was drinking some pre-workout, as one does to get stuff before workout. And I hopped on YouTube. And when I say that my life was forever changed by just that simple act of opening YouTube, I'm not joking.
Yeah.
So the first thing that popped up on the feed was a video. And I believe I have the title right, but bear with me. It said something along the lines of Batman visits a retirement home. It was a video from Cosplay Chris, who's incredibly popular in the cosplay community. And I just looked at the thumbnail, and I had never, prior to that, I didn't have any exposure with cosplay. I didn't really know what it was. I was really ignorant about all things cosplay related. At the time, it was the most incredible thing I'd ever seen. It was a guy dressed up as Batman, just visiting these people and talking to them and sharing stories. And I was so moved. I was like, wait, you're telling me that you can look like Batman? Wait, hold on a second.
I didn't know this was an option.
Why didn't anybody tell me this? And so that one video, thankfully, led me to another video. And in that video, I was watching it from this guy who makes capes. And he said, well, such and such. And he said something about a specific Facebook group that was about cosplaying Batman. And the speed at which I ran to jump into that group is ridiculous.
Yeah.
And so that really is what started me. So I found this group, and I found, which led me down a rabbit hole of finding people that made stuff or people that could really help in terms of how do I build something? How do I construct something? And that was really it. That one video on YouTube really just led me down a path of down a rabbit hole, really.
Yeah. A domino effect, right?
It really was. Right? It was the first domino, and then they all fell. And without that video, who knows, right? I never would have cosplayed, probably never would have done any of this stuff.
Yeah.
But that is sort of the genesis of how I got into cosplay, because at the time, Batman v Superman had just come out, right? And so one of the things that I was amazed at was Batfleck and how incredible he looked on screen and just how much of a beast he was, and it just blew my mind away. But before that, if you go back to like Man of Steel, I can remember being in that movie theater and looking at that suit, particularly like when the Smallville scene was happening.
Yeah.
And I just thought to myself, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen. Like the suit itself, just the way I was like that.
Yeah, I love it too. Yeah.
Once I started putting the pieces together that like I could look like Batman, I could look like Superman, and I could legitimately look like them because now they make these things called muscle suits. Like what? This is just insane. And so it led me down this rabbit hole, and I am eternally grateful for that YouTube video. Yeah. And if Cosplay Chris ever watches this, please just know that like you were literally doing the Lord's work, because it was literally the catalyst for all of it.
That's so cool. Yeah, talk about a domino effect. And then every from that person, you at that time was like almost a whole different person for who you are now, because you were just like, oh my God, everything is, oh wow. And then now look at you with all these cinematic shots and everything that you do and all the different suits you have, a bunch that you have behind you and everything. It's like from that to this, like who would have ever thought like that you at that time would have never thought that you would become the you are now. You know what I mean?
Ever. If you would have told me, like even me who found that video, like, dude, just wait. One day, like the images that you're going to see of yourself, the videos that you're going to see of yourself, I wouldn't have believed you. First of all, I would have been like, no, that you've got the wrong guy.
Yeah.
But if I can, I'd like to talk also about, I feel like I have two origin stories. So I have an origin story of like when I got into cosplay.
Yeah.
I have the origin story of like when I started taking photos, because those are two very different things.
Yeah, of course.
A good amount of time. So I started really getting my first pieces of cosplay, like I said, in 2017. And so what I would do is I ended up kind of getting a bat suit together. And it wasn't as good as what we have now, just because back then the quality wasn't as good, right? Technology hadn't caught up, and just, okay, fine.
Yeah.
So I had my first bat suit, and like, it still was the coolest thing that I had ever worn in my life, right?
Of course, yeah.
And so I would go to like conventions and I would do stuff. But all I ever had were like cell phone pictures or like, selfie pictures and me in a mirror and stuff like that. I just kept always thinking to myself, like, man, I wish I had some really cool photos of me that weren't with a cell phone.
Yeah.
And so one day because also something that a lot of people don't know about me is that I'm really big into photography. And I've
you take some yourself. Yeah, you take photos yourself. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I got my first camera in 2011. So I've been into it for a while. And so what I did was I took a picture of myself with my camera just in front of a wall. And here in Houston, we had, at the time, we had a photography page on Facebook. And it was basically what they call a TFP page, which is time for print or time for portfolio. It's changed over time what they call it. But essentially, it's just people coming together to collaborate and to have fun together, and no money is exchanged. Okay, whatever. So I took the photo that I had taken of myself, and I just thought, well, I'm going to post it to this group, because this was during the height of the pandemic. And so there wasn't a lot going on. There wasn't a lot happening. And I posted it to the group, and I thought, well, maybe if like one or two people want to shoot with me, that would be cool. And like, that would be fun. Yeah. And when I tell you that I personally, I wasn't prepared for the amount of messages that I got, the amount of DMs, the amount of replies that I got. I think I struck at a really critical time where there wasn't a lot going on, right? People weren't able to go to conventions. People weren't able to do things. And so I just put a picture up and I said, would anybody be interested in taking a photo of me in my bat suit? And the response was just overwhelming.
That's so cool. The people also needed something to do. So they're like, dude, I'll do anything. Give me something to do.
Perfectly. And so you mentioned him in the intro, but the person, because I was kind of overwhelmed by choice, but the person I ended up choosing was Dan Cortez.
Nice, yeah.
And so he and we met up at a parking garage, and we did my first ever shoot. Yeah. And I can remember when he sent me the first few images, like the preview images.
Seeing yourself like that?
Seeing myself like that. I just was like, this is insane. Like, I had never experienced anything like it. And in my brain, I can still see the first shot he ever sent me. My back was turned to the camera, and I'm looking at a skyline, and I just kept thinking, I was like, is that really me? Like, is that? And it was, it literally led me down another rabbit hole, because when he posted those to his Instagram, he posted those, and then other photographers that saw that were like, who is this guy? What is this? This is crazy, right?
Oh, that's so cool.
And then I just got hit up by photographer. It just started another chain reaction of doing photo shoots and having my picture taken. And so there was almost like there was two iterations, right? There was the first iteration where I got into cosplay and I had a suit and I would wear it once a year, and that was it. And then there was the iteration of me who was like going on rooftops and getting on parking garages and taking all these amazing shots. And it's just still to this day, I will get photos back and I'm like, I cannot believe sometimes that is me, this socially awkward guy in that suit. And it is a testament. I want to make sure this is said. It is a testament to the amazing, talented people that I work with. Like I say,
100%,
I am just a guy in a rubber suit. And and I know this because I used to have cell phone pictures of me at that place, right?
And I was just the guy in the suit.
I didn't look that cool. I did not look that cool. Till I started working with these incredibly talented people, and then all of a sudden it's like, whoa, okay, hold on, we might have something, right?
And they do help you too. Like I know, because I'm both sides of it, right? Because I'm on the media side of it, right? So I see that, but then I cosplay myself now as well the last couple years. So now I'm on your guys' side of it too. And so I kind of understand. I understand what you're saying though, like, because I feel the same way. I say the same thing. Like, you know, when people comment on my cosplays, I'm always like, shout out to, you know, the photographer made me look really great. The editor made me look really awesome. But, you know, like Tyre, she made everything for me. So she made it. I'm just wearing it. You know what I mean? But it's like, but it also, those people that took those photos of you, what it also did for you was kind of what you're saying. And it sparked that, like, oh man, like this is me. Like this is me. So now you go into the photos and you're like, this is me. You know what I mean? Like you're doing poses that you never would have done with your phone, because now you know what it can look like. You know what I mean? So now when you're in the suit, you're Batman now in the suit. You know what I mean? So it gave you that confidence of knowing, like, if I do this, I'm going to come out looking like this. So it is a team effort, but 100%, like if the photographers weren't there to take these awesome shots, you wouldn't have these awesome shots.
Correct.
Yeah, so I'm appreciative of you saying that as well.
Absolutely. I'm forever indebted to them because I know what it was like before, right? I had that experience before of like, I've never had photos taken of me. I wish I did. And, you know, and I remember when I first started reaching out to photographers on Instagram, and they were nice about it, but they were basically like, no, you know, I'm not really interested. And so I know what that's like to just want to have something really cool of yourself and you don't have it.
Yeah.
And so I think being on that side makes me so much more appreciative of being on this side now and all the amazingly talented people that I've just been absolutely blessed to work with. I will put it on everything that Houston has such talent here. It is
100%.
It's insane.
Yeah.
And I'm like, if you don't believe me, just look at my page. Like the people I work with, they're just literally incredible. And I'm so lucky and I'm so blessed to know them and to work with them.
100%. But whether it be credit to you or credit to the photographers as well, I always give credit to a little bit of both. But some of the shots that you have are some of my favorite to this day still shots of Batman that I've ever seen. Like, so I do agree with you. Like the people you're working with, the photographers you're working with, they know what they're doing. You know what I mean? Like they really are seasoned, man. I really like your story from like, you know, seeing it to having that realization of like, oh man, this was an option. I didn't know this was an option. I didn't know we could do this. To like doing it and then realizing like, oh wow, like this is what I could look like, and then doing and then oh man, this is what I really look like with professional photos. No, I'm going to take this to the next level and I'm going to keep doing this. Like we've said it a couple times in the intro, and then before, when I asked you the first question, everything about you kind of being a little bit more of a private person, and I would say a little bit more than the average when it comes to like the cosplay community, I guess you could say. You don't speak too much on your private life, and nobody has to, of course. You don't post much outside of just cosplay, and nobody has to, of course. You don't even really take up the phone. You don't show your face, right? I don't believe you ever shown your face, right? Ever?
No,
not once.
no.
Yeah, you've never shown your face, and there's nothing wrong with that either. And it's not just because you cosplay as Batman and you're wearing a cowl, but you don't show your face, generally speaking, even in cosplays such as your Superman cosplay, which you have behind you right there, which looks absolutely amazing.
Thank you.
And those photos, I'll probably throw them up on the screen. Those photos are absolutely phenomenal as well. Speaking on what you'd like to talk about, this take of not showing your face. There's other cosplayers out there that kind of navigate the scene in a similar way. And for some, it could be, for whatever personal reasons they have, or maybe it's because they're just kind of like staying in character, right? Just trying to do the character gimmick. For you, not revealing your face, did it begin as something that just happened and you decided to continue with it? Was it a staying in character thing? Was it a personal choice for a deeper reason? Was it something that you went into cosplay thinking about, or was it something that developed over time?
When I first started, because like I said, all I had were cell phone pictures of myself, right?
Yeah.
So I would take just a few photos from when I was at a convention or something like that, and I was already in the suit. Yeah. And so really what it kind of went back to two things. One, well, let me go back a little bit. Mm-hmm. A show that was really influential to me when I was growing up was a show called Smallville. With Tom Welling, Michael Rosenbaum's story of Superman as he's going through high school and discovering himself, right? Yeah. And in Smallville, the producers, the executives, whatever, they had one rule. They had two rules, essentially. They said no flights and no tights. Mm-hmm. So they weren't going to have him fly, which they kind of did once, but okay. And then they weren't ever going to have him actually be wearing the suit in the show. Mm-hmm. And so after I did that first shoot with Dan, and I saw what photos of myself could look like, I came up with two rules for myself or for my account. And I thought, one, I'm not going to show my face. Because like, I like the idea. I've always sort of predicated it on the idea that Batman can be anybody. Yeah. Like I can be the person next to you in the grocery store, or I can be the person, that, you know what I mean? That's like walking next to you in the mall or whatever it happens to be. Mm-hmm. So I just had the thought of like, okay, what if I just never show my face? Okay, there's one. And then the other thought that I did is I said, I'm not going to use Photoshop. And I'm not going to have like composites of me in the back where I'm like jumping out of like an explosion or anything like that. And I know there's plenty of cosplayers who do that, and I'm not knocking them. This is just a personal choice. After seeing what photos of myself in the real world had the potential to look like. That's
the style you want to
stick with. I thought that's just the way that I want to go. Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that. I just stuck with it. And so like to use the saying, like it's just not that deep, right? Like that's just something that I decided, and then I've just kept rolling with it. Nice. And so that's really what it's been more than anything. Then it turned into sort of a fun challenge in some regards when we did decide to shoot Man of Steel. I was out there with Nigel, the photographer, and then my friend Rebecca Rose, who does Catwoman with me, and she's done a billion other cosplays before. Yeah. And we were out there and we just were sort of like, okay, how are we going to navigate this of shooting it, but trying to make it mysterious and just trying, and I feel like we walked that line pretty well and we did a really good job of it. But no, it wasn't anything that I just, was super thought out or pre-planned. It sort of happened. And then when I thought, you know what, here's the 2 rules that I'm going to have for this page. And that's just pretty much what I went with.
Yeah, well, you pull it off in a good way, whether it would be for a personal thing or whether it is just for like kind of the sake of the character, or whether it just happened or whatever the case may be. You pull it off greatly, and it works like with the photographers you work with, like creating these cinematic shots where like even if you have the cowl off, like the one that I featured as a cosplay of the week, which is when I was first introduced to you, it was around the time that you posted that amazing shot of which, like I said, I made the cosplay of the week, and it was a very long time ago. Actually, when we were talking off air, you said the exact date. What was it again?
May
cosplay of the week?
2021.
May what? It cut out. 29th, May 29th, 2021. That's long time ago, man. And it was of your Batman with the long hair, sitting down and super dramatic and cinematic. And it's still one of the best photos that I've ever seen to this day of Batman. And I think that's also because it's different. I've never seen anything like it. The long hair, and it's just the lighting, the way it is, and like looks like you're like maybe in a warehouse or a random area. You got the concrete wall behind you and everything. It's like, I love the fact that you kept this vibe, adding the kind of unique take with something as simple as having the long hair with your Batman or Bruce Wayne, even if you want to say it that way, instead of even like, getting so much into the character that like you cut your hair for the character, you left it, you kept it, and you incorporated it into your cosplays, mixed in with the same thing of not showing your face. So in the same vein of not showing your face, the hair situation, was that like a purposeful take? Was it a purposeful shot, the long hair, the dramatic take? Did you plan for it, or did it just happen?
So I'm going to walk back just a little bit. I want to paint a picture for the audience. That day, May 29th, I was in my kitchen and my phone started buzzing. It was like, zzz, 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 zzz.
Yeah.
And I looked at it and it was like, side project tagged you in a post, side project mentioned you. And I was like, what is this? Yeah. And I opened it up, and it was probably single-handedly one of the coolest things I had ever experienced, and still to this day have experienced, was you talking about my cosplay and being the cosplay of the week. Yeah. And I have like 4 things saved on my Instagram, in my Instagram profile. And that is the very first thing I ever saved. I still have it.
Cool, dude.
I go back to it and watch it whenever I want to.
Yeah.
And
that's so cool.
The other cool thing about that day was I had a shoot to do that night. And it was the end of May. It was hot that day. I did not want to go. I was dreading it. I was just like, oh my gosh, it's going to be so hot. It's going to be so difficult to do this. When that popped up and I watched that video and you were just like the ultimate hype man, I was like, okay, yeah, I'm going to go crush this shoot tonight.
That's awesome, dude.
It completely changed my perspective on it.
Yeah,
but
that's so cool.
I wanted to tell that story because I'm so appreciative. I've messaged you about that before.
Yeah, we've talked before. Yeah,
chance to tell it. It was.
I didn't know all those details though, but you've mentioned a form of that before. That's cool as hell.
It was one of the coolest things that I've ever experienced from being a cosplayer.
That's cool.
But going to that night of that shoot. So one of my rules, like I said, is that I said I'm not going to use Photoshop. I'm not going to do composites and stuff like that. Yeah. But I started thinking. I said, you know what would be fun if for 1 week, just 1 week, I did a whole bunch of edits, like me jumping out of a burning building or me doing all this sort of stuff. I thought, okay, that'll be cool. Like it'll be something different, and it'll be something that's different for my page and whatnot. Yeah. So when we went to that shoot, we did the entire shoot, and when we were done, I had in my mind I wanted to get one shot. It's the only time I've ever actually gone into a shoot with a plan of a shot that I wanted planned, because prior to that, I had mostly shot with like street photographers. And the beautiful thing about shooting with street photographers is they're like, we're just going to go to the street and we're going to capture what we capture. Yeah. And that's why a lot of my shots seemed very authentic, because they were. It was literally just me walking around downtown. It was literally just me doing something in a parking garage. Right. And these guys were able to capture it in a real authentic way. Yeah. And so when I was shooting with Dan, in my head, what I wanted that shot to become, I was going to edit myself into the Bat Cave and being in the Bat computer. Okay. So that was the original thought process behind that shot. And so we did a couple variants of it. There's one where I'm holding the cowl in both hands. There's one where I'm holding it on one hand. So we did a couple variants of it. When I got those shots back again, I saw them, and that changed. I was like, I can't do that. I was like, literally, this is amazing. It combined probably my 2 favorite things, which is my hair. And then at the time, Batfleck, right? Yeah. And so I was like, this is perfect just the way it is. And for me, that series, those pictures were they probably went the most, they got the most attention out of any photos I've ever done.
Yeah. Did you ever think about, like, because, Bruce Wayne is Bruce Wayne, cutting your hair, or was that never like a thing? You were like, I'm just going to be me no matter what.
No, if I'm being honest, it took me forever just to trim my beard to an appropriate length. So like this is like super long for Batman. Yeah. When I go to an shoot, like shout out to Norelco, like I trimmed it up big time. Yeah. And so, but I personally don't like the way I look after I trim it. There's like a week time frame where I'm like, I had to do that shoot, right? And but no, I always thought, if you were Batman and you were really trying to hide yourself and you wanted to be the least, like the person that somebody suspected the least, like long hair would really be a good way to do it, because so many times people are like, oh, I never knew you had long hair, or I never keep all that hair in the cowl. And I'm like, here.
Exactly.
So like, I feel like it sort of works in tandem with that.
It does. It's such a cinematic shot, and it really did add to it. Like, it's something as simple in a sense as the hair. It almost makes the shot that much more cinematic and dramatic, and like almost emotional, if I could say. Like, you don't, like, what is he thinking? Is he emotional himself? Is he tired? Is he, like, there's so many questions of like, what's happening? But I don't know. I like it. You know what I mean? Yes. It's like, it's drawing me to it, man. Speaking of,
to answer your question, yes, I was tired. I was exhausted. It was the end of the shoot.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah.
And it worked out well, because it was at the end of the shoot, and it was sort of in the summer, so I was just super sweaty, and so my hair was super wet from being in the cowl. Like, it all just sort of like worked out perfectly.
Just one of those moments.
Yeah.
One of those perfect moments, man. You not long ago decided to say goodbye to your Batfleck suit, which it seems like you still have some, though, in the background there. You still got some Batfleck suits there. The Nightmare ones are some of my favorites, by the way, just the Nightmare stuff in general. But
so cool.
I don't know if defined you is necessarily the term that maybe you would use, but you were definitely more so known for, the Batfleck cosplays and whatnot. And in the process of getting rid of that Batfleck iteration, you introduced your new iteration, the new cowl, new bat symbol, the yellow belt, and so on and so forth. Often photographed alongside, you mentioned earlier, the amazing Rebecca Rose. In the process, you guys do a lot of collaborations together. Yep. What prompted you to get rid of this bat suit and your new iteration? What's the inspiration there? Is there a specific comic run, or maybe a suit style, or did you combine things that you liked from different styles? What was the process of all of that as well?
I'll speak on this suit first, because it's a shorter answer. Essentially, what I wanted was a bat suit that looked from a muscle structure similar to what I already had.
Gotcha.
So I reached out to the same maker, which is Ninko Creations. I said, hey, I want to have another bat suit. I want it to look like it came from the same cave, but just not the BVS. We shot some ideas back and forth, and in full transparency, this suit is basically just things that I threw against the wall to see what would stick, and they just happened to work out, in my opinion, in a beautiful way, right? Yeah. The thing that I knew that I wanted before any of this was my gauntlets that I wear are from a guy named Evil Genius on Instagram. And I had wanted to wear those gauntlets for so long, but I couldn't wear them when I was Batfleck, right? And so there was that. Okay, so the first thing I ordered were the gauntlets. Getting with Ninko, figuring out what kind of design we wanted to go for the suit, what kind of texture. And then it was just a matter of, I wanted a belt that actually worked. My Batfleck belt doesn't work because it's resin. So then pouches aren't functional. I wanted a belt that I could actually carry my keys. What a novel concept, right? Like,
you can actually put them in there. That's right.
All my stuff, and I'm like, hey, can you hold this for me? And then it was just being on Instagram, finding the guy who made the neck seal, and then I bought the cowl secondhand from somebody in one of the Facebook groups, and it was already cut, and it just happened to all sort of work out in a great, beautiful way. And when I put this suit together, my initial thought was, I just want a suit that I can wear when I'm not being Batfleck. I just wanted a suit that I could wear sometimes. And I honestly thought I would just wear it once every while. Sometimes when I go to a convention and I'm in this suit all day on Saturday, I don't want to get into it on Sunday because it's literally still wet from all the sweat, right? So I wanted another suit that I could wear the second day and just stuff like that. And then when I got this suit and I put it on, I was like, oh no, I've made a mistake, right? I found so much joy and, for lack of a better term, liberation wearing this suit. And so that's why it's sort of become my main. What ended up happening with Batfleck was, I still love Batfleck. I still think he's, in my opinion, the most comic accurate Batman there is. I just love
I agree with you
about him.
Yeah.
I loved how that Batman, and what resonated with me with Batfleck was he was older, he was broken, you know, he had lost his way in so many regards.
Yeah.
And like you saw this journey of him through meeting Superman in sort of this like redemption arc of him learning how to be a member of a team and him learning how to do stuff the right way and sort of remembering what he had lost along the way. And so all those things resonated with me with Batfleck, and they still absolutely do. I still think the suit is gorgeous. And but what ended up happening is the longer that I wore it, and this is all self-imposed, the longer I would wear it, people would be like, dude, your suit's perfect. You look perfect as Batfleck. You're like the best Batfleck that I've ever seen. And I started to get this internal, just from me, this internal pressure that everything had to look perfect. Like the folds of the cape had to be absolutely perfect in every shot. Like the tab, the collar, you know, the cowl couldn't be on a top, had to be down. And then I would look at a photo that was gorgeous, and I'd be like, oh, I can't use it because the shoulder part is...
You start picking it apart,
Start picking it apart. And it got to the point of where like I was more self-conscious in that suit than I felt amazing. You know what I mean? And it's not supposed to be that way. And so this is, like I said, this was all self-imposed, and I just put this pressure on myself that it had to look perfect, and it couldn't have any flaws. And it led me down the path of like, so that cowl behind you, it's completely custom.
Yeah.
So I went to Keith Hernandez's house and he did a 3D scan of my head. Like that will not fit anybody else. It is literally made for me. And it almost felt like the more that I strove for perfection, the further I was actually getting from it. And I just, I felt more disconnected because I was trying to pursue something that ultimately didn't exist. Like we can't live up to the actual Batfleck costume, right?
Yeah.
And then when I put on this suit, I didn't have any of those pressures. Like I didn't have to wear a specific gauntlet. I didn't have to wear a specific belt. Like I could swap out my cowl. I could swap out the gauntlet. I could do my cape over my shoulders or behind them if I wanted to. And there was such a joy and liberation and freedom in that I just fell in love with this suit and then this iteration way more than I thought that I would. So it's not that I don't love Batfleck anymore and I didn't get rid of it. Like I will get back into that suit one day.
Yeah.
And I also had to say the ability just to turn my head even a little bit.
I bet.
It's so much better because like that's like a neck brace, you know, like you couldn't move your head at all. You had to do the full body turn.
Yep.
You know, there's just some things about this. And, you know, I will always tell photographers, I'm like, look, I can't hear with this cowl on. Like I say what? So much during the shoot. Like you think it's a glamorous thing. It's not. It's me saying what over and over and over again because I can't hear. So at least now that I can turn my head, I can hear better. You know, there's just some advantages to this suit. But I still love Batfleck. I love the Nightmare. I mean, that thing is it's so good. So yeah, I absolutely I still love them.
Yeah, 100%. Amazing job, man, on the Batfleck, on the new one as well. And then all the photos that you've got with Rebecca Rose as well. You guys make a great like Bat and Cat team and whatnot.
I have to give credit where credit's due, and all the credit for any shot that you see of Rebecca and I goes to her. Because Rebecca was, I'm so used to shooting alone. It's almost comical, right? I'm just used to being in a parking garage, on a rooftop, in the streets by myself, just me and the photographer.
Right.
And Rebecca reached out and she was like, hey, you know, I'd like to get together and do a shoot. And I was like, oh yeah, sure. Great. And I made the mistake of looking at her follower count, looking at her size, looking at how big she was. And I just made the assumption that she was going to be this pretentious person that I was just going to be like, all right, you know, this is going to go awful, but I'll indulge just once. I'm so happy that is the furthest thing from the truth. Like we've met, we've clicked. We have such a great relationship in terms of like, she's such a great Catwoman. Like she's always down to shoot. She's even been Chani when I've been, you know, in my Dune costume. So like, she's the furthest thing from what I thought. And it's been amazing. And so anytime we collaborate, I'm like, you know, this is all because of you, right? Like this is because you were like, no, this is going to happen. And I'm so appreciative that she did.
Yeah. You got to give credit where credit is due, man. That's cool as hell. I like that you do that, man. You've done that with photographers. You've done that with her. Like, that's cool as hell. There's a lot of people out there. I feel like it's in some way, shape, and form, it's almost a lost art, you know? Like, I don't like when people don't tag people, when they don't tag, you know what I mean? Like, give people credit and stuff like that. So I like that you're sitting here giving credit where credit is due, you know what I mean?
I'm just a small part of the overall team, man. Like, I'm a small part of all the people that come together to make this thing the way, look the way it is and how it ends up the final product.
Yeah, 100%, man, 100%. Batman in Houston. I want to talk to you a little bit more, man. I have a couple more things that I want to talk to you about before we end up wrapping this episode up. But before we do that, let's break up the monotony and let's get into this week's Cosplay of the Week. Oh, and this week's Cosplay of the Week is none other than, it's a long time coming, Gravel Road Cosplay. And I'm throwing it up on the screen right about now. And that was kind of like, that was supposed to be like, it's of his Red Hood, obviously you could see that, but that was kind of supposed to be like, like a pew pew. I don't want to say the word because YouTube, you know what I'm saying? But that was supposed to be like a pew pew, like Red Hood. You guys get it. Gravel Road Cosplay, his Red Hood, and I believe Gravel Road, I'm doing some the picks that I picked for your Cosplay of the Week happen to be some of kind of old shots, dare I say, of yours. But man, I kind of want to, let's bring it back and highlight these amazing shots that you have had in the past that I don't think you showcase that much anymore. And because, like I said, it is a long time coming, and I've had these saved in the vault for such a long time. I don't know why I haven't got to it, man. But this is your Red Hood. This is I think it was kind of like a nightmare sequence Red Hood situation at the time. Photo by Bryant Cox Photography, helmet by Dark Knight Effects, armor by Urats, hopefully I'm pronouncing it right, Studios, V2, shins, wrists, and belt by Carbon Panther, and it's absolutely amazing, man. Just you got the goggles on the Red Hood helmet with the iteration that has the eye cut out, you know what I'm saying? Like it's broken and everything. The helmet is broken. The mask is broken. I love that. You got the scarf going on the neck, the trench coat, still got the Red Hood get up from the gauntlets, the chest piece and the boots and everything. Absolutely phenomenal. To the crowbar, you know what I'm saying? Red Hood, Joker, crowbar. You got to have it. It's looking phenomenal, man. And I remember way back in the day when you guys, I don't have the date in front of me, when you guys first posted this, and I was blown away, man. And it's kind of fitting for this week's episode as well. And we'll get into it in a second. But we have, in case you're just tuning into this on Instagram as a clip and you didn't tune into the full episode, we have guest this week, Batman in Houston, who does not do interviews, and he's here on the Side Project podcast. And he is another DC cosplayer, Batman cosplayer, Superman cosplayer who has an awesome bunch of cosplays, and he has done Nightmare as well. That's why I say it's kind of fitting, and we'll hear from Batman in Houston in just a second. But your Red Hood, absolutely phenomenal, man. And I want to throw up a second one before we get out of here. I want to throw it up on the screen right about now, and this is of his Professor Pig. We're going with DC, all DC today. I love Professor Pig. It's a cosplay it's a character that I do not see cosplayed enough. Everybody should know I'm a huge fan of DC villains. I cosplay Black Mask myself, Scarecrow myself. So I'm a huge DC villain fan, and Professor Pig, you don't see it enough. And I think this is a beautiful iteration. Photography by Bryant Cox Photography, who's been mentioned here many times, who's a previous guest on the show himself as well. Perfect photo for both the Red Hood and the Professor Pig, with the darkness, with just Professor Pig kind of illuminated in the background there, coming at you, very villainous. He's got the things in his hands. I don't want to say it out loud because YouTube will flag me for certain things, but everybody's got eyes. They can see. It's Professor Pig. Absolutely phenomenal. Gravel Road cosplay. Amazing DC cosplays going on, man. Batman in Houston, this week's guest. Do you have anything that you want to add real quick about Gravel Road's cosplays of the week?
He's my second favorite Robin.
Yes.
And
yes.
Congratulations. As a previous cosplayer of the week, it is an honor. And welcome to the club. Your card is in the mail. You'll get it.
Exclusive. We got to hit that DJ horn right here. Yeah, exactly, man. Gravel Road, dude. You and I, we're friends. We talk all the time. We've hung out several times, dude. And I don't know if we've never talked about it, but like, I wonder after all these years if you have ever thought like, why not me? It's never been a situation of like not doing you purposely. These obviously have been saved in the vault for a long time, but do go, if you're not following Gravel Road Cosplay, everybody's tuning in, spelled exactly how it sounds, go to his Instagram, check out all his recent stuff. Like I said, I just happened to pick some older things, some of my favorites, two at least out of a bunch that I really like, and it's very fitting for this week's episode as well. So go follow him if you're not, because Gravel Road Cosplay, your cosplay of the week, Professor Pig and Red Hood for me and Batman in Houston is amazing. Yes. And in case you didn't see it, by the time that this episode comes out, you know what? I'll let it speak for itself. We'll go into this week's sponsor. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Cosplay Awards. The Cosplay Awards, in its first iteration, will be a virtual awards ceremony live premiered on YouTube,
celebrating cosplayers, photographers, crafters, compositors, and many more of all varying levels.
Like any award show, the broadcast will feature a host, presenters, nominees, and of course winners, among others.
You may be asking, how do you become nominated?
Well, it all begins with the categories and submissions. Available via thecosplayawards.com, you can submit for yourself or even on behalf of others to the respective categories that will be presented at this year's show.
And we're happy to inform you that submissions are open right now. But there will be a deadline for when those submissions will close that will be announced at a later date, and thus leading to
the nominations and voting. Once all submissions are in, they will be gathered and placed on a nominees page via thecosplayawards.com and then be open for community voting. The first round of votes are in your hands.
And we'll also have a deadline for when those community votes will come to a close.
The final top 4 to 5 community voted nominees will then be placed into a second round voting system compiled of a number of knowledgeable judges on the Cosplay Awards committee that will vote for who the winner will be.
Those 4 to 5 nominees will all be announced during the broadcast as well, with presenters announcing and presenting the winner or winners for each respective category.
And each winner will receive an actual cosplay award dubbed as the Kazi.
Remembering that this is a celebration and to keep things fun yet fair, like the 2-step voting, if you are a judge on the committee, we have decided that you cannot be a nominee in a category and win an award yourself.
At least not for that year's process, as being on the committee will be an annual rotation. So that way the following year, you could be an accepted nominee and possibly take home an award.
There will be a mixture of pre-selected judges on the committee, and the same goes for presenters. If you think that you are a good fit for the judge voting, there will also be a submission form available on the website.
There are a few more details and logistics that will take place leading up to the award show and behind the scenes, such as like just how everyone will appear, being that this is virtual, national, and international, and there'll be a detailed info sheet that goes out to everyone. That'll be touched on at a later date.
We are accepting sponsors and ads, commercials that will run during the broadcast. Reach out for more details and information, or use the submission form on our website.
The Cosplay Awards will take place December of this year on YouTube, and we can't wait to see it fully come to life and grow, and the improvements that we will build upon as the process unfolds, and that process starts now.
So go to thecosplayawards.com and get your submissions in. Good luck, and we'll see you guys there.
I want to throw a little bit of a curveball at you, and I want to get into a segment that I like to call Blow Shotgun Questions. And what Shotgun Questions is a little bit more of a rapid fire segment that never ends up being that rapid fire. We always end up having a conversation about it. That's the irony of it, and that's okay. It's a series of 3 questions. That's all fun and games. It's nothing to worry about. Let's see how much fun we can have when I ask you. You have to build a team of 6 characters to fight off a threat on Earth. This could be a team that is comprised of superheroes or villains across Marvel, DC, or any other comic-based company. This could also be mixed with gaming characters or any other forms of pop culture. You have to build a team of 6 characters to fight off a threat on Earth. Who are your 6?
Superman.
Nice, yes.
Because I just can't say I'm going to bring Goku.
Okay, yeah, it's over already.
Yeah. Because then I just want them to fight so we can really get to the bottom of who's... And then I'm going to bring in Captain Marvel.
Captain Marvel, holy, okay, yeah. It's just cosmic, okay.
Yes. We need a speedster, so I'm going to bring in the Flash.
Nice, okay.
I want to have Bishop.
Nice, wow. I don't think anybody's ever picked. That's nice, good pick.
And then I'm bringing Magneto.
Magneto, wow, what a pick, dude. Out of these Batmen, you've got Keaton, Bale, Affleck, Pattinson. I feel like I know this answer, though. You can only choose one, and the rest and their universe cease to exist. Who do you pick?
I've always said that if you put all the Batmen in an elevator, only one is coming out.
I agree. I think I know who it is.
And that's my guy, Batfleck, right?
Yes. Yeah, I agree. I'm sorry. You guys seen that fight scene, right? You've seen the major fight scene in the warehouse. Come on.
The warehouse changed the game. I can't tell you how many people were like, dude, that was just like the video games. I'm like, yeah dude. He was knocking people. Like, I think he with a box, right?
Oh,
like
100%. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Which, by the way, we're going to talk about Batman, doing that to people. As if Keaton didn't do it in his films too. Come on.
Yes, exactly.
You know what I mean?
I forget the bomb that he gave that guy.
Exactly. I think people forget because it was kind of like a comedic take on it.
Exactly, yeah.
That guy's not alive anymore.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, last question. if you could time travel to any time period, any era, where would you go and why? And you can have up to 3 different choices.
I would probably go in the future. To me, I'm like, I don't know if I'd go to the past because there's no air conditioning. just be miserable back there. Like, okay, see dinosaurs. So like, if you go back, okay, I do that. But I would want to go forward like 500, 1,000 years just to see. Now, would I then come back to life here and then look at my phone and be like, are you kidding me? Like, this is all we have right now? Like, maybe there is. But like, it would be interesting, I feel like, just to see what changed and what's different and you know, what's happening. So I would always go into the.
And well, that was Shotgun Questions. Wow. Being that you're obviously a Batman fan, I'm curious about your thoughts on Batman in the upcoming DCU, like James Gunn's new DC. And I'll lead with this. I'll start with my thoughts on this one this time first. I'm not fond of some of James's comments on Batman and his issues with developing his film take for the DCU. And I've said this before, and I don't know if you know, I don't know if everybody tuning in knows, but he said things such as like, he doesn't really know what to do with Batman. He's kind of having a little bit of trouble, and how so many stories of Batman have already been told. What's there left to tell? And I beg to differ like crazy. I disagree. I believe that there's still a lot of stories that you could tell with Batman. And maybe he's just looking at solely as Batman as a character, or maybe Bruce Wayne as a character, and not really thinking maybe outside the box of how like Gotham City is a character in itself. The people of Gotham are characters themselves. And then we haven't even touched the surface on like all of the villains in the Batman's rogues gallery that have yet to even be, yet to appear on film at all. And if you tie that in, the villains alone, it creates a different story with Batman as well. That has yet to be depicted on screen. So I'm curious, like, your thoughts on that, like what I just said, and then also your thoughts on a DCU Batman iteration as a whole, like what you want, whether that be a more grounded version, something kind of akin to Pattinson or Christian Bale, or would you prefer to see something a little bit more fantastical, I guess you could say, with the likes of like maybe Solomon Grundy or something? Or I know Clayface is going to exist in Matt Reeves' universe, but I mean, so like for the sake of the example, more so like a Clayface, like the animation type Clayface or the comics type Clayface. Like, what are your thoughts on all of that?
So for me, if I'll take a step back, if I had a choice in the fan casting, and I've said this for as long as I can remember, the only person I really want is Alan Ritchson to play.
I see it. Yeah.
Because he's huge.
Yes.
He's got all the qualities. You put him in a tux, he can be Bruce. You put him in a batsuit, he's just got that physique and that look. Yeah. So
if I may interject real quick, I just thought of something. I don't want to forget it. If he's not Batman, would you be opposed to having him be Red Hood?
I wouldn't be opposed to him being in the universe at all, right?
Okay.
Find a way that they could shoehorn him in, great. But he would just be my first choice for
I only asked that because I saw some people saying that exactly. Like, well, he's probably not going to be our Batman, but like I would like him in there somewhere. And the other character I saw a lot of people saying is like, well, make him Jason Todd.
Right. Unfortunately, we seldom get the things we want. So, like, I get it. Be the Batman, but that would be my first choice as a casting. And then I would, it's so crazy to me because if you say, well, we can't really tell stories, I'm like, do you realize if you just took Hush and you made that a movie, like it's an incredible story to be in.
Something that's never been done on film.
Never been done.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, if you took someone who's big like Alan, you could have him fight somebody like Killer Croc.
Right, exactly. Wow.
And you would have you could blend the worlds of it being sort of fantasy and you can ground it in reality a little bit.
Yeah.
But that would be my take. For me personally, I wasn't the biggest fan of the new Superman movie that came out.
Yeah, me neither. And we're in the minority, apparently.
Absolutely. I'm completely in the minority, so we are, and I understand. One of the things that I really liked and I really gravitated in terms of the Snyderverse was the costumes.
Same.
I just thought the costumes were top tier. I thought they were great. And I am, if I'm being honest, I'm a little concerned about what the Batsuit is going to look like based on what Superman and Supergirl look like.
Yeah.
So I have some reservations there. But will I be there watching it? Yes, I absolutely will, right?
Same. Do you want like a gray and blue suit, or do you want a typical black suit, gray suit, whatever you want to call it?
I wouldn't be opposed to a gray and blue suit because we haven't really seen that. Yeah. I think it does have some callback to some of the earlier iterations of the character in the comics and stuff like that. But I'm not mad at a gray and black suit either. If it were me, my favorite personal interpretation of Batman ever was the version that Michael Turner drew.
Okay, yeah.
Because he was huge, he was bulky, he had like super long ears, he had super cape. I just thought he looked incredible.
Yeah.
And I would not be upset if that sort of
something like that
made a debut.
Yeah. I'm a little concerned as well. I don't think that James is going to be directing this himself. I'm not sure I don't think he's directing it.
I don't think so either.
I don't even think he's fully writing it. I think he's just producing it, and I think he has kind of like some say in it. I believe somebody else maybe even writing it, but he obviously has his hands on it. Forgive me if that's incorrect. I don't know if that, I don't think he's directing it for sure, but the writing thing, I don't know for sure. Don't quote me on that. But I know he has his hands on it, obviously, because he's the head of the studio. But I'm just concerned if he's sitting there going, I don't know what to do with it. It's really hard. And I know there's the pressure as well. I'm not saying there's not pressure, and fans, can be very picky, I guess you could say. And it's like, no matter what, though, you're not going to satisfy everyone. That's just how it's going to go. So I'm not saying any of that, but I'm just concerned by some of the things he said, like by saying what's left to tell. Dude, James, there's a lot. Like there is a lot. Like, you should know this. You're a comic fan yourself, James. Like there is a lot that you could tell. Like, I almost kind of want them. I really liked seeing, even though it's Matt Reeves' universe, it just goes to show you, like, focusing on someone like the Penguin as a villain and giving him his own series. I don't know if you liked it, but I liked that a lot. I like that show a lot. It shows that you can do things outside of just Batman himself and kind of highlight this other stuff that's happening in Gotham at the same time. So if you take that concept, I'm not saying don't focus on Batman for the DCU, but I'm just saying if you take that concept of, like, having villains that we either haven't seen for a very long time and maybe weren't depicted in the light that they could have been, such as, I don't know, maybe Poison Ivy or Mr. Freeze even. It's been a very long time. Or people that haven't been in at all, like Hush, or, even towing the line with like a vigilante or anti-hero type thing with Red Hood or something. We haven't seen these things depicted on screen. So the story that you're going to tell, it's going to end up being a different story with Batman as well. It'll be a different story with Bruce as well. So it's like, I don't know, saying that what's left to tell, I didn't like that. I didn't like that take, and it made me very concerned.
Yeah, it's not my favorite thing to hear either.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we are going to get ready to wrap up here, man. But I want to throw it back to you to basically just kind of say whatever's on your mind, whatever you got on your mind, and then like also maybe just throw in the future of cosplay for you. Like, what can people expect from you, being that this is your first time being vocal, your first time on screen, first time talking? Like, now that you kind of made that connection with people, like what do you want to do moving forward with cosplay? Well, I didn't want to come here empty-handed. Mm-hmm. So I have for you and your audience an exclusive. Okay, yes. Love it. Nobody knows, but... Oh, dude, you're stepping into the Marvel category. Look at him, dude. What an exclusive, man. That's so cool. How far along is it? Like, how long until we can actually see some shots? Coming. I'm hoping within the next month or two. Nice, dude. Nice. Coming along. Yeah. That's so cool, man. Yeah, that's an exclusive for you. But if there's anything I want to say before we wrap up, one thing that's important to me, and I want to speak on, sometimes I feel like there's just not enough light shine on it, is just mental health. 100%. Yeah. So I've been a little more vocal recently in my stories and in some of my posts. Mm-hmm. I've tried to just not really post a lot about my personal self because I've always held the opinion that, well, people come to me because they want to see Batman, right? They're not as concerned about who's under here as they are with the actual character of Batman himself. Mm-hmm. But I've changed that a little bit because I've thought to myself, I have a little platform here. Maybe I can use it. Maybe I can use that for something else. Mm-hmm. Mental health is just really important. Talking to people is really important. I always feel like there's a stigma around it. Yeah. And I want to sort of start the conversation of breaking that and to let people know that there's nothing wrong with not being okay. Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with talking to people, and there's nothing wrong with having a support system and a support group. And I've said it on my stories in posts before, but if you're going through something and you need somebody to talk to, my inbox is always open. And I just think it's really important. I have my following is the vast majority are men. It's men, women, it's all of us. We're all in this together. And I just want to let people know, if you're going through a hard time, if you think you're the only one going through something, you are not alone. You have a lot of people that are rooting for you, even when it feels like you don't. Yes.
And if you need someone to talk to, I mean, who better than Batman, right? Like,
yeah.
And so I just really wanted to make sure that I got that out and that it was an important message for me to tell.
Yeah, no, 100%, man. I just did an episode 192, 2 episodes before this one, with Yasmin Lee, who is a known advocate for neurodivergence, for autism, for mental health, and all kinds of things. And I would say probably like 60, 70% of that episode is all about mental health and everything. So it's not out of place. People that in that episode, I talk about it much more, so I won't waste too much time here, but just to relate to you and say the same, convey the same message. I suffer from anxiety, specifically more so sleep anxiety. It's a whole other thing. You can Google about it if you'd like. But I do have anxiety in certain social settings, which I know is weird for me doing all the panels I do and everything. But you never know, kind of what you said. You never know what somebody's going through. But behind the scenes, or even deep in their heart. Even if they're in public and it's just kind of hidden away, you never know what somebody's going through. And I'm one of those people. And I've talked about it in the past. Haven't been as vocal about it in the last few years, especially like on the show and everything. But I do want to kind of bring it back, touch on it a little bit. And that's why I did that episode with Yasmin. And that's why I'm glad that you brought it up as well, because I said in that episode with Yasmin, just a second, what you said, there is kind of this stigma around it, especially for men, that like we can't speak up, right? Because we're supposed to be men. We can't talk about it. It's frowned upon. Like, women don't like it. There's no sex appeal in it for us as well. And this and that. And there's all kinds of different reasons why men don't speak up. And there's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with speaking up. There's nothing wrong with speaking out. There's nothing wrong with reaching out. There's nothing wrong with talking to somebody. There's nothing wrong with checking yourself into therapy if you feel that you need it. I did it. I did it a long time ago. I did it, I don't know how many years it's been, maybe 4 or 5 years now. There was some stuff that I was going through and I was like, I have to get a handle on this. And I need to talk to somebody that is kind of just an outside person that is no judging. You know what I mean? Like, it's not maybe not so much that I didn't trust anybody around me, or maybe I didn't, I don't know, but it was just, I just needed somebody else, like an intermediate, I guess you would say. I don't know the word I'm looking for, but you know what I mean? Just somebody else that I could just let it all out. And kind of just figure out what's going on within me. And believe it or not, and I'll wrap it up with my whole rant here. Even my therapist at the time, she told me, like, I don't, this is her speaking, I don't really think that I helped you too much, like, as far as telling you things. I think, honestly, you just needed somebody to talk to kind of formulate it, work it out for yourself. You're a very self-aware person, and figure out how to fix the problems that you had. She goes, I just think you needed somebody to talk to that wasn't going to judge you. And that was it. And it helped me. And I figured it out. I fixed some of the things that I had going on within myself that I wanted to change. And here we are today. There's nothing wrong with it.
There's nothing wrong with it. And for myself, as somebody who's recently started therapy, it's such an amazing thing to be able to talk to somebody without fear of judgment, without fear of ridicule or any of that sort of stuff. And just to be able to talk to somebody in a real and authentic way. I think it's amazing. And honestly, if it helps somebody talking to me, because I'm a mask. You don't know me. You don't know who I am. Like, I'm here for you. Like, I'm here. I just want people to know that they're not alone. And I know that it can be really, really difficult sometimes.
Yeah, 100%, man. Great message. And remember, if you do reach out to anybody, keep it confidential. You know what I'm saying? There's some people out there that keep it confidential. No screenshots. Don't talk to anybody else about somebody's personal stuff. Keep it within that circle of trust. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're not following BatmanInHouston, please go do so right now. Spelled exactly how it sounds. Man, this was a dream come true. We finally did it. I'm super stoked, dude. I welcome you back sometime in the future. If you ever want to come back, we'll let some time go by, let some things happen, let life occur, right? And we'll welcome you back again, dude. Amazing. I'm super stoked. Ladies and gentlemen, for everybody tuning in, thank you for watching, for liking, for commenting, for sharing, for doing all of those beautiful things that you do over on youtube.com/Side Project Podcast. When you go down, you hit that big red subscribe button on YouTube, and it goes, and you get 100 sexy project points. Thank you for listening and watching on Spotify, as well as videos are available on Spotify. When you follow and you rate, you do all the things that you do, I appreciate you from the bottom of my heart. If you're looking for me, you can find me on Instagram at IGHatesChazzy. And if you're looking for the podcast as a whole on Instagram, you can find it at Side Project Podcast. Remember, that's Project with a K. For me, for BatmanInHouston, we are out of here.